Hey everybody, welcome back. So what I'm going to be doing today is showing you a tutorial of how to use Posca markers. And so there's three different ways that I'm going to show you how to draw with Posca markers. So the first one is with crosshatching. So what I have here is I have a drawing that I started by just crosshatching with my Micron pens. And then I went in with the Posca markers. And the way that you sort of start to get the Posca markers going is just by pressing gently against a paper or palette on the side, something that if you get a little bit of paint on it, it won't bother you. And then you just start, adding some color. And I was using lines. I have the fine tip kind here. So they have, with Posca markers, they have a few different versions. They have like a thicker tip one and a finer tip one. I happen to have the finer tip one. So I was just, always curious about these and wanted to see how they worked. And so, what I'm doing here is I'm really just adding some color. And the nice thing about Posca markers is you can be kind of experimental with it. So just kind of like start going and see what happens a little bit. And you still want to make sure that your lines are going around the form to make it look three-dimensional. So, as you can kind of see here, I'm going around the form and trying to bring out the 3D quality of the pomegranate. Okay, so for the second version, I'm using the red to kind of go all the way around it and making it like filled in to start with red. But then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to add color. And so I'm using the red sort of as a base. So, I'm still trying to think about the direction of line that I go in as always. I don't want the lines to be totally haphazard, but by adding green and some other colors, I can kind of start to bring out some highlights. And then I could add some darker colors like, green and blue to make some shadows. So you want to think about still where are your highlights, where are your shadows, because that's what's going to be the most important to make it look 3D and to give it some visual interest. Now you'll notice when you're drawing, like if you add highlights like the white, especially with the gray toned paper, it's going to really pop out. And if you add a little bit of a dark next to it, that will make it pop even more. So those are some things you can try with your drawing. Then I'm adding some blue, and the blue will go over the red and it'll make a little bit purple. So practice just exploring kind of like what happens when you layer different colors and just try to get different effects and see what happens. So as you can see here, I'm just adding some different colors. I've added some yellow and some green and some purple, and I'm just kind of like doing some hatching back and forth. So that's just, to make it look a little bit more 3D with the highlights. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you so much for doing that and helping me grow the channel. So last thing for this one, you'll notice that it's really easy to layer a lot of different colors. And so you can just practice layering different colors and just, once you're happy with the effect that you get, then stop, but just keep going until you're happy with the effect that you're getting. Okay, so this was the second one where I used the red ground. And now I'm going into the third one where I'm using a black ground. And so what I'm doing is I'm using the Posca marker to fill in all with black to start. I did have a thought after if maybe I should have done this with Sharpie, but too late. So I was thinking I'm kind of using up the entire marker probably, but it is what it is. So then I'm adding, and you can do this with any color, right? I'm just adding some red here, but again, you could do any color. Again, I'm using this idea of direction of line. I'm not just going in all different random directions, but I want the lines that I'm using to kind of help show the form and map out the form a bit. So going through and making this a little bit more graphic than the other ones. I'm not worried so much about, highlights and shadows at this point. I'm just sort of thinking about direction of line. And this third one is going to be pretty stylized. So you don't have to feel like it has to be like, observational colors. Try just different things and see what you like. That's experimental. Now I'm just adding some highlights on that top part. And now I'm just adding some blue over the black. And what that does, since it's near the red, is it kind of turns it into a little bit of a purple color. So again, just experiment with different colors that you want to try. Now I'm going from the bottom to the top with the blue, and that's going to just give it a little bit more of a 3D quality. So I felt like the drawing was a little bit flatter than I wanted it to be. So, just by doing this, it'll give it more of a 3D quality. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen videos on either cross contour or cross hatching and the concept of direction of line is new to you, I highly recommend that you check out those videos because that will help your drawing immensely. It'll help you understand how you can use lines to go around the form and make it look more three-dimensional. So definitely check those out through my channel if you're interested. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button. And the last thing I'm doing here is I'm just using pink to kind of give it a little bit more of a highlight. So by going around with the pink marker, that pulls out the highlight a little bit more and it makes it look more 3D. So this is just another thing you can try if you're doing something similar in your drawing. So let me know in the comments what you thought of these 3 different drawings. And thanks again for joining, and I'll see you next time.